Hi, welcome to the Internet Cafe. My name's Sam, this is my brother Tom. Let's talk The Last of Us Part 2.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
How can you screw up The Last of Us? How? When you we save the ending for the last bit because that was just like the last kick in the nuts. Just like, you don't understand what they did to get it. Yeah, they might have found it, but where did they get the sheep from? Where did they get all the animals? How did they fix it up? Do they have any?
They
walkers?
came to them.
When did they have any? Build it and they will come.
And we're going to be discussing probably the most controversial topic in the gaming world today. I think it's still pretty hot, which is The Last of Us Part 2. And in particular, a particular scene with this fella here, who we love dearly. So this review will have spoilers. We're going to be talking about the entire story. So if you don't want to know anything, you haven't played the game somehow, and you've avoided all spoilers up to this date, don't know how you've done that, by the way, I'd stop watching now. Tom is a huge Last of Us fan. I played the game twice. You've completed it how many?
About 5 times, if maybe more than 5, on all the different difficulties. Yeah, and the first one I love it. I could play it again now, but it's tarnished at the minute for me.
The whole game, I think, The Last of Us Part 2 has a tone of sadness about it. There is, the story itself is effectively one of revenge, but at the same time, it's trying to show you the consequences of what revenge can do. So had Abby not sought revenge on Joel, the events that happened to Abby, she basically lost the group that she's with, and I'm struggling to remember their names because we'll talk about this in a minute. We don't care about them. So she loses her group, and she's basically, you realise she's not as much of a leader as you think she is in the first half of the game. I thought she was like the leader of them all. She's not. She's just one of them who went out and sought revenge on Joel. And then equally, when you're looking at Ellie, you find that she's sought this revenge at the cost of her friends, effectively.
Not along. So the first game, you're along for the ride. Everything happens to you as and when it happens. So when, Tess, Trish, whatever her name was from the first one, Joel's friend, that you get a feeling that they've been together for a while, is infected and kills herself to protect Joel and Ellie to get away. Those things happen. It's not kept from you. It's not like later on down the line, Ellie goes, "Oh, where's Trish?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, she died protecting us." It's like, "Oh, okay, she's dead now."
Yeah.
Whereas in the second one, everything happens to you. So like Ellie from the get-go already knows what Joel did. And you don't find out that until later on in the game. I thought it was going to be a case of, Ellie catches up to Abby. Abby then says, do you know what Joel actually did? She killed my dad. She ripped you off the table. We had a cure ready. He killed everyone in the hospital. And Ellie might be like, "Oh my God, I know why you did this now. Yeah. But I'm still going to kill you because you killed Joel." But then you'd be a bit like, "Oh, now you're along." But no, she already knew. Oh, hopefully, well, Joel and Ellie will never get to make up now. Like, they'll never be able to have a talk about their feelings and what happened. Oh, no, they did. They had it on the porch. It's like, oh, well, okay, fine. So what's
that was kind of like... Because you do play the entire game thinking that Joel and Ellie have this rift, to actually find out that they did try and make amends.
Yeah.
And actually, I suppose
But why is it at the beginning of the game when Joel kind of comes in and he's got the guitar and he's a bit like, "Oh, can I come in?" and stuff. They've already had a talk about everything. And then he plays the song.
That earlier?
No, I don't know.
Well, who knows?
Who knows?
It's so out of sync because there are flashbacks within flashbacks. I think it is hard to follow.
Someone says, "Oh, it wasn't fan service. They had a story to tell and they told it." It's like, well, yeah, but it was awful. So why was that a good idea? Why is that ever a good idea?
I don't think I can argue with that.
No, you can't. And anyone that tries to argue it is really in denial about this game. Because this game, why is Joel on it? You don't play as him. You don't play as him. I don't understand. Ellie. This face is what Ellie looks like throughout the whole game.
I thought if I put Joel there long enough, you would definitely.
You see this and you go, Joel. He's old. He's got a beard. He's got longer hair. He's aged. Is Ellie going to have to take on the ability to kind of look after Joel now because he's not as strong as he was? No, he's dead. Why is he on it? Abby should be there, lifting weights,
lifting weights.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, probably.
It's so stupid, isn't it? I don't understand. Is she even in it at all?
She's not on any of the covers. So Tom called me. So I got to the bit that
No, I can talk about it to him because he takes years. I said to him, like, "Were you going to play this?" I said, "It's going to take you about a month to complete this game because how much little time you have to play games." So I had to keep my mouth shut. But every weekend, I'd give him a call and I'd be like, "So what bit are you up to?" And I'd be like, "Oh, thank God! Like, what do you think?"
Yeah, so it was the bit with Joel. So when we got to the scene with Joel, I must admit, I actually had my hand over my mouth. I was shocked that I wasn't shocked that Joel died, but I was shocked that he died in that moment.
Yeah.
2 hours into the game, you hadn't even really understood what was going on. And not only that, it was within, and the way he died, with Abby and the brutality of it. It felt very Game of Thrones to me.
Yeah.
And then he's spat on by the other.
Yeah, the writer. It's weird. So the writer apparently mocapped the actor who spat on him when Joel's dead on the floor, which is weird.
But there's dispute in that. There's loads of things over the internet saying it wasn't him at all. It's just someone who looks like him, like the actual actor. But who knows?
He wrote it, so he did it.
He wrote it. His fault.
It is his fault. End of.
But the moment that Joel died, I called Tom and said, what has happened?
Yeah.
What has happened?
Yeah.
And you were just like, oh, I know.
It's like done. Like, as soon as Joel dies, the game's done for me, and I'm sure it was for a load of other people as well. As soon as Joel got killed, and it's a point like when you're Ellie and you're running into the cabin, thinking, right, I'm going to save Joel. Like, now it's my turn to save Joel. He saved me so many times. And she just gets knocked to the floor and then gets held down and then gets to see Joel get his head bashed in. But you are seeing it happen as well. And I was done after that. I took a break. I turned the game off. I was like, I don't know if I can actually play this game again. Like, I don't know if I can keep going. But I did because I just needed to know how this was going to end, because could they save it? And they didn't at all. It got worse.
I remember you saying, you said to me on the phone, you were like, oh, I'm so glad you've got to it because I can talk to you about it.
He finished. The weekend before he actually went to that bit and that happened, he was Ellie running up to the door, and then he turned it off and didn't play for a week. So I couldn't talk to him about it for an entire week. And I was trying to be really cool about it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, you're at that bit. That's really good. Okay. To call me after about 30 seconds after that bit, it was going to be really good. Oh, okay, fine. And then you called me and I was like, yeah, oh my God.
I didn't know. I honestly didn't know that. And then the thing is, the depressing thing was I turned the console on, carried on for literally 5 more minutes. And then that happened. And I was like, well, I don't want to play it now.
No.
So, yeah.
So there's a right way to kill a main character. You do it at the right time, the right way. And yes, it's those two things are the main thing when you kill off a main character. You don't just if it's a main, like, it's like we were saying, like Nathan Drake in Uncharted. If you were playing the Uncharted games after the 2 hours into the game, the first game you played, you love it. The second game, Nathan Drake gets killed brutally. I don't know, by getting golf clubbed in the head by one of by the evil character of the game or whatever. You wouldn't play the next 3 games because Nathan Drake. What's Uncharted without Nathan Drake, and what's The Last of Us without Joel and Ellie?
Well, you're
really
right.
Screwed it up.
It's true.
When I saw Tommy walk into that room and just lean on that counter, just like, what's up? It was just like, you don't know anyone in this room, and they're all armed, and there's a blizzard. You're stuck in here. Like, they could be anyone. And Joel has gone through people like. Where they kill people just for like their clothes and stuff, or like he's seen people get shot down and then they've looked to see if they had anything on them in the first game, and then they're like, oh, he's got nothing on him. And those brutal people he's witnessed, and the cannibals, and they're going to kill Ellie and eat her. All these horrible things he's seen. He happily goes into a room filled with people he doesn't know. After what he's done as well to the Fireflies, Joel is the one normally doing the bashing in of the heads. Like, he's the one holding the golf club, getting information out of people or whatever. Yeah. He's not the one that gets ambushed that easily. He literally stands in a circle of them, like, and then gets blasted.
Who are you, strangers? I know.
Oh.
And then they tell them where they live.
Yeah.
It is wrong.
But, yeah, I mean, going back to like how Joel should have been throughout the game is how he is in those cutscenes. So Joel is when Dana, for instance, and Ellie are kissing, and then someone shouts at them for doing it, and then Joel comes out of absolutely nowhere as if he's been watching her the whole time, making sure she's okay, and grabs the guy and pushes him away. And it's like, that's Joel. That's the one that always aware, always alert, looking for danger. Like, he knows what's going on. He's the one in the room that has got an escape plan at any point. And then when he goes in there, why does he go in there so chilled out? Yeah. That room, with all the fireflies. So Joel's dead, and you can't believe it's happened. You're thinking, no, maybe he's in a hospital or something, and maybe he's just really.
There ain't no coming back from that.
There's no. Yeah, he's dead. Like, you see a bit of his brain on the bloody golf club. So Anyway, so you're at his funeral, and then you go to Joel's house. Then you walk through his house, and this, as a player, is the first time you enter Joel's living space. The first time when you go into Joel's space, it's like a crappy apartment. It's got a sofa in there. He's drinking, and there's nothing in there. But this house is filled with stuff. It's got pictures on the walls. It's got coffee stuff everywhere. He's got things like a guitar room where he looks like he's been giving music lessons to people.
Well, he's making guitars, isn't he?
Yeah, or whatever he's doing. So you think, okay, but this is the first time you get to go through it. Ellie must have been in it loads of times. So when she's walking in the house, she's going, oh, I remember this, and oh, I remember that. And the only two things you get from that house is Joel's gun, and she sniffs his coat, and then that's it. Because those are the only two things you remember from the first game. Nothing else in that house you remember. Nothing's nostalgic. You can't believe you're walking through dead Joel's house. And you don't even know that Joel even had a house. It's not like you went through Jacksonville with Joel and he's trying to pick out a house for him, and Ellie goes, choose that one, Joel. And Joel maybe was going to choose like a really crappy little apartment. And then it could have, in a game, if it would have happened, Ellie could have been helping Joel decorate the house and put up frames, and maybe there could be a wonky frame they never could got straight, and then when Joel's dead, he goes to that picture and he's like, oh, we never did get that straight. It would be like, oh, that was a good moment, wasn't it? I remember that frame. No, his gun and his coat. That's what you remember, and that's it. And you leave.
End of Joel.
End of Joel.
I felt like the pacing of this game was hard to follow.
Yeah.
So you're left on like a 10-hour cliffhanger.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
So like, Ellie rushes through, Jesse gets shot, and then Abby's like, you killed all my friends. And you're like,
Yeah.
and then
I'm gonna let you go.
yeah.
Oh.
And then you don't know what's going to happen for 10 hours. So I kind of rushed through my segment of Abby's gameplay because I was like, I want to know what happens to Ellie.
Yep.
And
you
then
did the exact same thing, but I don't think it doesn't take off from there, does it? Oh no, it does.
It does. You play as
Tommy
Abby
gets
going
shot.
down, and you can see where it's
I
going.
couldn't believe that. It was just like a bit where you're playing as Abby, and you fight Ellie.
That's it. So this is now the Ellie Abby fight scene. That was probably the most awkward fight scene or fight sequence boss thing I've ever been involved with. I didn't want to do it. In fact, I deliberately died a couple of times.
Too.
I actually thought if I died as Abby, I'd get a different ending.
That's what I thought. I thought maybe it would be a different cutscene.
Yeah. Nah.
No.